Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another CryptoManiacs podcast. Well, it could be considered Crypto Mondays, even though this is Tuesdays. Crypto Mondays, we just swapped task for Eliana. That works or no? Yeah.
Well,
No?
that's a step down as at least visually, but you know, what can you do? I got a face for radio.
She got more hair than you, sir.
That's not hard to achieve.
No, true. Yeah. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. And this week we are, like you guys know, we had to rearrange our schedule a little bit, but not to fear, Blaine is here for his third or fourth appearance on the CryptoManiacs podcast. He should get a badge that says "I show up a lot." And I like tasks. John, not so much. Task, yes. Blaine Jones, ladies and gentlemen, the CTO, the co-owner, the man with the brains behind the CTP tribe and all that stuff. So, welcome, sir.
I don't know if I'm the man with the brains, but I do
think
things.
I think I got a point of contention here because you said he's the CTO, but I think the roles have changed now. After watching you give technical advice last week to block trades,
Yes.
I mean, it's we see the hidden talent that is within John G. Olson, Blaine. I think give that man a laptop and tell him to go code.
I mean, I'm all for it. I would love to sit up on camera and do my podcasts 4 times a week, and John can just sit in the background and code everything. That'd be great. I'll just dance.
Dancing on camera is a talent. Okay. For the people listening, you have to have a visual. Okay. If you're listening to the podcast, you have to have a visual of me dancing, but or not. That's fine. Anyways, how was your guys' weekend? Did you guys sell all your crypto and exit the markets quickly?
Why? It's near the bottom. A lot more upside than downside from here. If you're going to sell at this point, you got a hole in the head. You should have sold 8 months ago, 9 months ago. It's like
I was going to say I sold everything and then mortgaged the house to buy more.
It's perfect.
Why'd you sell it in the first place?
To count my losses? I don't know.
Oh,
it's a tax break when you sell it at a loss.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
That's true, but you have to have gains to offset. Do you have gains to offset? If you're in crypto, probably not.
So it's always fun when Blaine comes on because I get to sit back and listen to stuff that I'm very interested in. Not that I'm not interested in all sorts of things that other guests on the show talk about, but I guess I'm kind of a little biased and a little near and dear to my heart that Blaine's, into CTP apparently and into all the stuff that we're working on. And fancy, it was like perfect timing because we actually did something really cool. And I've talked about it the past couple of days, but maybe we'll get Blaine to dive into it a little bit, which is really funny, Tass. This is the story. On Friday afternoon, Blaine basically says, I want to do something because everyone is like, I forget exactly what it was, but Blaine was basically like, I want to create something. And then on Saturday it was done. And then we launched it on Saturday evening. So Blaine, do you want to touch on what you built with your magical hands and mind for the CTP tribe?
Yeah, so Friday, we were talking with somebody in the CTP Talk Discord, and they had a request, and I was like, and I told John, I was like, man, a lot of people have a request for this thing. I was like, why don't we just create a proposal system, let people propose whatever they want, and if it gets voted in, I'll build it. So that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to build the index proposal. And then I started it on Friday midday-ish. I had to stop around 4 p.m. because I had to go to a concert because those are way more important than coding anything.
I was going to say, he had to go to the concert.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we bought the tickets like 6 months ago, so had to go. And then, so I told them, I was like, there's like 3 things left to do. I'll finish it up on Saturday morning. And then I got it done first thing Saturday morning. And then when John reappeared after his day off, he made the post about it and we made it all live and ready to go. So now we have index proposals where anybody can propose anything that they want for the index. And if it gets enough votes, we'll implement it. Simple, easy.
Yep. Pretty
And
slick.
how has I know you guys talked a little bit about I watched the replay of your show last night, and I know you guys talked a little bit about some different things. How's the reception been of that so far?
So far, it's a good reception. Not a lot of people have created any proposals yet because, again, it's only 3 days old at this point. John created a proposal, but that proposal is kind of moot because we're already doing the thing in the proposal. So it is what it is. But only time will tell as we continue to grow this thing. And again, Index is really low on the radar for a lot of people because it doesn't have the super green candles and the $1 million market share that DEC, SPS, and GLX and FTX all have. I'm just making up letters at this point.
Just make up acronyms. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Well, FTX, you really didn't make up, and I think right now Index is higher than FTX.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it's not a token that's consistently top of mind with everybody, but as it continues to grow and as it's grown, we get more and more people interested in looking at it. And we were talking about it just 2-3 days ago. There was like a 70% APR return for that day. And then somebody had pointed out that the numbers were wrong because it was counting the amount of index held in the index account, which it's not supposed to. So the value is a little bit lower than that, which makes the APR actually higher than the 70% that it was. So we're getting amazing returns, especially now with the GLX, the SPS pool that we're in, and all of these things. So it's continuing to build and grow. But I think sometimes 6 months to a year, when this thing just shoots and rockets to the moon, people are going to look at it and be like, holy crap, why didn't I invest in this 2 years ago?
Hey, I did 2 years ago. I was wondering where the hell I got that GLX in my wallet. Not in my, not on the Genesis Sports website, but I had GLX in my Hive Engine wallet. I'm like, where the hell did I get this? And then when John mentioned that on the show last night, I'm like, oh, that's where it came from.
Yeah, it's just magical tokens appearing out of nowhere. It's free money. All you had to do was buy a couple index.
Yeah, I don't remember how many I got. I got a fair portion, I think, and I don't even remember. Were they going for like one hive a piece or something? I forget what they went for.
They were last at about half a hive a piece. So yeah, 0.46 hive right now.
I forget what I paid. I have no idea. But yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of that shit. I mean, I'm in LBI and SPI and stuff on Hive Engine, and their income stuff. I mean, every week, I get some Hive showing up because of SPI. I don't even know how many tokens from you guys on because of the income. I mean, there's 6 or 7 tokens I get. There's just a lot of things, and these are things that I don't think it's heavily overlooked with Hive.
Well, what I said all the time, and this is kind of what the running joke here is that everyone just wants green candles. No one wants use case. And me and Blaine actually spoke about this a little bit earlier this morning. Everyone in traditional crypto, I think, can admit it. They can look at themselves in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm in it for the money. I'm in it for the green candles. That's really what I'm in for. I don't care about life because no one cares about decentralization. They all say they do. They really don't. But on Hive, it's really unique. Hive, the big test everyone says when it comes to the layer 2 stuff is, we want use case. We want more use case. We want syncs. We want this. We want all this use case for a token. And me and Blaine and Eliane are sitting there scratching our heads.
They want use case so they get the green candles.
They want the use case so they get the green candles, right? But like, I don't think they care about use case. They really care about what everyone else is doing, and they follow crowds. They really do. Because it's because here you go. Index got more use case. It's got the first proposal system for an income token, and now combine that with all the use cases of CTP, because something that Blaine didn't mention there, the way that you pay for proposals with the index is $5 worth of CTP tokens, and those CTP tokens don't go to the bank, they don't go to us, they're actually redistributed, more distribution for the CTP token to index holders. And if you got a big chunk of CTP yesterday, that's because of the proposal fee that I paid to throw the proposal up on index. So there's tons of use case if people will look, but Very rarely do people seem to look. They seem to go where what the whales are talking about, right? Because whatever projects the whales are talking about on Hive, that's what everyone's excited about. And that's... Anyways, I shall plead the fifth.
After a 10-minute rant.
It's frustrating, man, because it's like there's so many amazing projects out there. And the stuff that seems to get pumped and then dumped and just talked about forever and ever and ever is the stuff that is just like, okay, well, what's the use case for it? Where's the working models? Where is it? And meanwhile, CTP's been around since day one, basically. An index token is continuing to perform. It's got 70% APR. No one talks about it, which is cool in a sense because there's people that do take advantage of it. Guys like Best Start, who are probably watching on Vim right now, who's just stacking CTP, stacking the miners, stacking the income tokens. So it's, not financial advice. You think I pissed people off their task or no? Did I do a good job? No.
Better you than me.
Yeah,
but if
perfect.
you weren't going to, and we got Blaine on. So shit. The chance that one of us is going to piss a large portion of the audience off today was at 95% going in, and you just pushed it to 102%, John.
I'm glad. I'm glad I could perform.
But the same token, not this by the same thought, maybe a little bit of a counterpoint is I think this also shows the potential power of Hive when you start to look at all these projects, and we'll take CTP because this is near and dear to the two of you, that you guys are putting in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. You have your roadmap, you have your plans, you have your ideas, you have your development schedule. You have a basic outline either written down or in your minds of where this thing's going to be in 3 years, 5 years. And as John said, nobody's paying attention to that. And we have a lot of that on Hive, where if we go back to that thing that we talk about all the time, John, consistency of activity, of effort, and you guys keep doing that, well, guess what? At some point in time in the future, a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is, all of a sudden people aren't going to be able to ignore CTP on Hive because it's like, here we are.
Yeah.
And boy, have I got something that people can't ignore on Hive.
I'm not saying a word.
I don't know if I should even ask, John. Should I even ask what that?
I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to mute my mic and I'll let you two talk for a bit. Okay, sounds good.
I was gonna say, and what is that? But should I even go there, John, or should I just ignore that statement that he made and don't open up that can of worms? Okay, I'll go there, Blaine. And what is that?
So I have made an incredible amount of progress on this thing in the last 2 or 3 days because we have other projects that we're doing, but I'm waiting on John and Eliana to do their parts. So while I'm waiting, I figured why sit around and do nothing when I could be active and do something and finalize and finish up what we are calling the task app.
It's like Project Blank, but a different name.
Yeah, it's a code name. Code name.
I have finally gotten it to a point where everything is rendering correctly. Today I'll be adding in the comments piece and the upvotes pieces. And then it should be ready for beta in the near future.
If you need a tester, I'll be willing to.
We need thousands of testers.
Oh,
every single person that wants to.
Well, how are you going to do this? Are you going to open it up and just throw it out into the wild as beta and say, here it is, people, try it?
Pretty much.
Okay. No, I mean, there's, and that goes to, how developers approach things, John, because some, and Blaine, known his personality, that's him. Okay, I built it, throw it out there, and whatever breaks, then I'll go fix it. Whereas other people, will say, okay, we're inviting 25 or 50 people in and we're going to do a closed beta or alpha or whatever you want to call it. And then they do the testing, and if everything's okay, then we'll open up to another 100 people. I mean, there's just a different approach. So I shouldn't be surprised where once it's done, Blaine will say, okay, here it is. Tell me what you break and I'll go fix it.
Actually, what we were planning on doing was I was going to invite 3 people who each had to invite 3 people who each had to invite 3 people.
Yeah, but but you forgot you will invite 3 people who have to buy the starter pack, and then they invite 3 people who buy the starter pack, and then they invite 3 people, and then when we have enough people, we'll all gather in like Orlando
Three and
or
it's free. Task. That's what it's called. That's 3 and it's free.
three,
Right?
and it's free.
3 and it's free. Get your 3, get it for free.
Yeah. So that's cool. So did you on this application have you built the I know this is the wrong term. I don't know if it's the right term. The machine learning engine. I mean, is that
The
complete?
learning engine. Yes, the learning engine has been rebuilt and reformatted. I did that on Saturday and Sunday, and reworked how it is. It's got to be implemented still, and that's nothing more than a click to set it up and have it going. But right now, I've been focusing on the rendering of posts and how they look and how they format. And I found a great library that allows me to do that. So getting all that done, and we'll add in the Hive blockchain interaction pieces, the upvotes, the comments, and all that stuff. And then, yeah, I'm going to add a couple things like a button so people can click and report bugs. But other than that, once I get all that done, it should be ready to go. And we're just going to open it up, like I said before, to everybody that wants to try it out. Because again, at the end of the day, the more people that use it and the more people that try it, the better it becomes. And that's the goal with the whole learning engine piece. So
With the machine learning, and this getting into a little bit of the basics of machine learning and all this other stuff. So if you have 10 people using this application, whatever the 10 people are doing, we're all feeding data into the machine learning engine. And so then it takes all the data that I put in, John, you, Eliana, and 6 other people, and it processes it and it delivers. I'll say the update, maybe that's the wrong word. But then over time, as it gets better, that delivers that performance to each of the 10 of us, correct?
correct.
Okay. And this is going to be its own front end, so it'll have a different UI. It's basically, it's not like through CTP Talk. It's not a plugin. It's through its own URL, its own front end.
Right. It's like half a front end, because like there's no reason to like write posts on it, but it's more of the content discovery piece. So half a front end, I guess. You could still write your own posts wherever you want to, whether it be Peak D, Leo Finance, CTP Talk, etc. But it's more about the reading and the viewing and the content discovery piece.
He said the CD word. And something that we talked about too last night, and this is really important for Blaine to make sure that the bugs are all worked out. There will be tokenomics to this thing, but it's not going to be implemented during beta because we want to, like Blaine was saying last night to me, he's like, I just want to make sure this thing works flawlessly before we start throwing tokenomics to it and stuff like that. So let's get the app working, then we'll develop we just want the working product, the MVP, right? So.
Now I've gotten John's view on this. I don't know if I ever got it on camera though, John. I think we talked about it offline, but it doesn't really matter. John's optimistic about it. What are your views, Blaine, with it in terms of what this brings to Hive, and how do you assess the potential of this application, which, for those who don't know, was a real world application 12, 13 years ago. Maybe it was a little ahead of its time. Now it's being brought to Hive. It's going to be focusing, I presume, exclusively on Hive content. What do you think this does for the Hive ecosystem?
I think it makes it easier to access everything that's out there because, again, if I go to Peak D, CTP Talk, Leo Finance, if I go to a specialized tokenized front end, I'm going to see content only for that front end. If I go to something like Hive Blog or Peak D, you can see all the content. But again, I'm not going to search through 1,000 posts just to find something that I want to read. That makes it painful and that's horrible to try and do. But if a learning engine is there and it learns and understands what I like, then I am more apt to go and look at these posts, which means I'm giving out more upvotes. I'm creating more comments, which is creating more engagement, building more relationships, and all of these things that we continue to preach about Hive and building as entrepreneurs, building our businesses on Hive. And it just simplifies and makes all of that easier. So I think it's absolutely amazing thing. I love it.
And the problem, like before, was like, just like Blaine said, like if you go to any of these front ends, you could look at the trending topics, sure. You could go through the most commented topics, sure. But you might not like the fact that there's a photography post with 1 million comments. You might not be into photography. So this thing is designed to basically cater to what you like. And it's not going to be based on your followers or a trending topic. It's going to be based on what you like and what you really engage with. And that's something that we feel since day one. And it's funny, Blaine and I were talking about this. We actually had the mind map for this, and we had it was back on the old blockchain that shall remain nameless. We actually had a sit down with a whole bunch of guys, and we had it laid out. We had the mind map, we had the graphic for this. We've had this in our mind basically since day one. So this has been a 5-year project in our minds. And then Blaine kind of had this aha moment over the past couple of days where he got it. He figured it out, like what it needed. And now it's just because Blaine had all this stuff ready to rock. Like our ideas were on paper and they were ready to go. And then Blaine was just looking for this one thing and he figured it out. And now it's a lot closer than it was this time last week. So it's exciting, but I'm very biased. So, because if you understand the love I had for the previous version of this, you'd understand why I'm so bullish on what we're building here, because it's
and I had similar feelings for that app, but from a potential standpoint, John, to be honest with you, I think I can see why it failed, and maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. What makes you so bullish on the previous version and now obviously this version? What makes you so bullish on it, and why do you think it failed? Was it a matter of timing and the previous version just was the wrong time for the internet, or why now when the last one failed is my point. And before you say that, it's not that I disagree with what Blaine said, because Blaine's absolutely correct. We have very little to no contest discovery on Hive. So anything that brings that to the table is orders of magnitude better than what we're dealing with today. But it seems like you're more optimistic more than just that. And what's the source of that?
I'll touch on one, and then I'll let Blaine go with a couple more, because I know how he's thinking. The big thing for me is what I saw is timing. I think it was timing. There's tons of other reasons why I think it failed in the previous version, but the big thing was timing. And that's something Blaine and I are notorious for being. Ever since I've been in this business, it's almost like we seem to be doing things that we don't do at the right time. We're always a couple of years before, and we've been preaching to our little market, hey, you should get into crypto 5 years ago. You should do this if you're an online entrepreneur. Most of the time, for the first 2 or 3 years, we were told we were idiots. We were told it was a scam, it's a scumbag move, and Bitcoin's going to zero, and we're complete fools. This is what we were saying 5 years ago. So I think
they're still saying that today, John, about crypto.
Well, they're still saying that today. Yeah, well, yeah. But I think timing in the market is the problem for that first version of it. So that's the first thing. I got a whole bunch more. Well, it's the technology and extrinsic and intrinsic values, why you actually used it, I think is what is going to be able to be used here tremendously. I think it hits both. So yeah, Blaine, go ahead. Sorry, I know you got other ones you want to talk about.
Speaking of timing or whatever and what most people think, I was talking to a guy the other day on Discord. He said crypto's a fad. So I don't know. I just work here. But so the number one reason why the old thing failed, because it operated in the red. It never got into the black. It was consistently in the red. And as it grew, which means costs increase, it could not maintain the income that needed to via promotions, et cetera, whatever, to cover the costs of that ginormous database that it was housing. So that's what happened. That's all that it was. With our version, we are localizing it to only Hive. So it's only Hive posts. So I don't know how big the database is for Hive, but it's not the monstrosity that
Three-
was the old thing, right? So it's
350
like
gigabytes, I think block trade said.
350. I was going to say around the 400 mark,
Okay, maybe 400.
somewhere around there, and that we can cover that already with our capabilities that we have with no additional costs. So we can cover all of the problems as far as the costs and everything associated with it without issue. So that's how we overcame that. And then timing, yeah, I get timing because that app was brilliant back in the day, and so many people loved it. I tried to get into it; it wasn't for me, but not everything's for everybody. So.
Mhm.
But now that we have, like you said, almost no content discovery capabilities on Hive, we're adding a singular piece. This could be the go-to place to find content on Hive. Could be. I don't know.
Yeah, and for anybody who's listening, I don't know how much you've revealed about the app, so I understand it because John told me, and you've actually Blaine dropped the name of the previous app, which again I used. This is a lot different than Google, though. I mean, it's not a search engine, so
No.
that's something I think people need to understand. You're not going to go to this app and type in Splinterlands, and hope to get a list of the top 25 Splinterlands posts. Although, if you are a fan of Splinterlands, that could be one of the parameters of your personal, I'll use the term profile again, maybe a misuse the term, but that could be one of the parameters of your profile that as the machine learning is starting to get accustomed to you, it says, hey, you like Splinterland stuff, John. And so he gets more and more Splinterlands. And John, you don't like that photography stuff, so he gets less and less photography.
Yeah, exactly. This is the other reason I wanted to touch on, and it kind of combines what Blaine said too. The monetization and the way they made money in the previous version was awful. It was absolutely awful. Like their pricing structure was priced everyone out of the market. Like you had to basically have like thousands of dollars to even touch on being able to monetize this. That's one reason I think it failed before. But what's really cool about this version, what we're doing, is that I mentioned extrinsic and intrinsic. It was only intrinsic before. That was the only reason you used it, because it was you kept seeing cool stuff. There was no outside reason to do it. Well, here on Hive, especially when there's the tokenization to it, and before we even get into the tokenization, if more people start seeing your posts, that means potential more upvotes, potential more engagement, potential more followers. So there's already that extrinsic value right there, tapped right in. So you hit both reasons for being, reasons for using it. And the previous one only had I like using it, which is very important. That's what we want to do. We want, just where you said you start liking Splinterland stuff, you'll start seeing Splinterland stuff more. So you like Splinterland stuff. But also, if you are using it and people start looking at your site more and or your blog posts more, what happens to your followers? What happens to your engagement? What happens to your upvotes? So now you're getting, I think you're killing two birds with one stone with this. So,
Now, through this front end, will this be, in terms of the engagement, will this be similar to Leo Finance, Peak D, any of them, or will this be closer to listeners, where when I give an upvote, am I actually upvoting using my high voting power, or am I doing like you did with listeners? You created your own voting system that, yes, you can upvote, but it's not tied to the blockchain and any of that. Is there two layers of voting? How does that work?
It's both.
Okay.
So you have the option, if as long as the post is within its voting timeline, that's 7 days, you will be able to vote on the post. Then you have an additional piece for thumbs up and thumbs down, or voting, vote up, vote down, whatever we're going to call it, for the specific post within the front end itself, and that's what drives the learning engine.
So
That's
when
the
I
piece
thumbs
that
up
helps
something, that's telling the learning engine, I like this type of content. and I want to see more of it. And if I thumbs down it, that's saying I don't like this content. I don't want to see more of it, but it does not affect the person's post on Hive and the upvotes
Correct.
at all.
Yep.
That's just the feature for the learning engine.
Yep. And you'll be able to separately within the app itself, upvote and downvote the Hive post itself through Hive. We'll use Hive keychain. So just like everybody else.
And
So
make
I'll use
comments
Hive
directly.
keychain. I'll log in with my posting key, and I guess I would need the active key. No, I guess you can upvote with posting key. I log in. I can upvote. I can comment. I can do everything. I can reblog. I can do everything I do through any other front end. There's just the additional layer that I have these thumbs up, thumb down, or whatever they're called, which is actually feeding into the learning engine for my own profile.
Correct.
Do we have a name for this other than the task app, or are we going with that till release?
There is a name, but it's going to be the task app until release.
Too early. Okay. Do you want to? Do either you want to tell the audience what the previous version was? I know Blaine's kind of dropped some hints here and there.
Well, I mean, if you've been listening and you're familiar with internet history, you'll know we've dropped pretty much everything that But
you could be talking about Dig for all people know. They
I'm not saying
thumbs up and thumbs down.
I'm not saying a word.
Like, I'll spill the beans. It's real easy. The old thing was Stumble Upon. We know that. So this is a Stumble Upon-esque version. What we're trying to do here is just change the way that people view Hive. That's all we're trying to do.
He said it, not me.
Yes, he did. So he can't yell at you, John.
Yeah,
but don't worry, he has something else to yell at you about, I'm sure. So he has a list. I agree with you, Blaine. I think what this does, it does a couple things. Is first off, you bring the readability to Hive, because it's very hard to have readers when you can't find content you want. And as John and I have talked about, even if you follow a particular author, they might write about things you don't care about. Yeah, you like their stuff on crypto, but you really don't care about baking, and half their posts are about baking. And it's like, I don't care. So this, I think, is a very, very important thing, that the content discovery aspect, which then I hope would drive more content creation, because if there's content discovery, maybe it'll help to incentivize people to create this content. But then I think you bring the other aspect without knowing the tokenomics, but I think bringing that into the equation, and you mentioned the operating in the red of Stumble Upon, tokenomics adds a completely different dynamic to any application, especially, to throw it out there, if you're tying it in to other applications on your platform, if you will, or within your ecosystem. And so when you start to look at that, you're able to leverage everything else you're doing. And what I like is ListNerd's changed email marketing, in my opinion. We have, what's that Instagram? Like2. We have this new app, the Task app, coming. We have microblogging shaping up. We're getting this plethora of social media applications on Hive, but it's more than social media. It's marketing tools where somebody can take their post, and it's like, okay, you go through your post and you properly tag it, and that increases your chances of being seen. Then you can send it out on ListNerd. You can drop it on Like2. You can microblog it. You can do all these different things to get your stuff viewed. That is phenomenal.
It's absolutely amazing. I grow more and more fond of this blockchain every single day. And as we continue to develop and build things on Hive, we're going to continue to grow the following, grow the users, grow the account base, and the consistent using of the chain itself. So again, we might be a little early with all the things that we're doing, but at some point these things will come to fruition, right?
Hopefully.
Well, yeah, and I think people who understand it, and maybe it's I fight this battle in a little different terminology, but I think we're all talking about the same thing. Uh, I talk about the business building. I talk about if you're on Hive, what are you doing? What's your niche? Your business just with your Hive account. And you guys talk business building through CTP. I mean, that's what CTP is, online business building. But we don't have enough people who view things like that, where they sit there and say, Taskmaster 4450 is my business. And here is an application that is being handed to me that I can utilize, that I can help to market my product, my service, my stuff, my articles. And I don't think we have enough people who look at it in that regard. I know Jimmy Adamas does, and I'm sure Jimmy's listening. This guy goes haywire because he understands the integration between all these different applications about marketing himself. And I think that's really what we need more of, for some content creator to show up and sit here and say, I write my crap over on WordPress. I can write it here. And then on WordPress, I got to go to Twitter and send it out. Then I go to Facebook and post it. And I come here and I got like 7 different applications that I can utilize. That's unheard of. And by the way, all with the same login information.
Yeah, I mean, Blaine and I, we've been launching programs here, that are all tied to Hive. And one of the things that we did was Start Earning Today. And the whole brand of that was do everything that you already do for your business, but now start doing it on a blockchain. So don't go to Medium or WordPress, go to PeakD. You don't use like Google, use Presearch. Like, I mean, we basically said you can start your marketing tools. They're all on the blockchain. Start using it, because Blaine and I talk about this, and Task, I've talked about this a long time. It's a lot easier to build a following here on Hive, where the competition isn't stiff compared to trying to break into being an Instagram content creator or being a TikTok creator. It's a lot easier to do a like to post and get into the like to community. It's a lot easier to put your videos on 3Speak than trying to get monetized on YouTube. All of that is fine. You can keep using that. We're still using it. We're streaming on YouTube right now. But my main goal, and Blaine's main goal, your main goal, Task, is to always use the apps and then put them onto the blockchain, because that's what we want. We want to build the followings here, which we think is a lot easier. So just like you said, and like Blaine said, these apps are just getting more and more prevalent. They're getting out there more, and more people will use them. And that's what we want. We want users. More users solves all, right? So, yeah.
Well, I just to back that up, John, I just looked, and I took a closer look because I noticed the other day I never checked. When I set up my Twitter account, it's when who was it who beat on me? Was it Belimo? No. Anyway, I joined Twitter like a year ago, maybe. I just did it to help promote Hive. And I don't do anything on there other than promote Hive. I have, and I don't know how many are bots or bullshit or what, but I got 22. I got 2,100 followers in a year. How long would it take me on Twitter if I just signed up for Twitter and went about the usual way to get 2,000 followers?
Right.
I mean, and I don't know if, and of course, 2,000 followers on Twitter is nothing. It's not like I'm a huge account, but I would say most of those are Hive people.
Right.
And because I go on there and talk about Hive like the rest of the Hive army, okay, people follow me. But you're right. If you want to stand out, how are you going to make a name for yourself on YouTube? How are you going to make a name for yourself on Medium? How are you going to make a name for yourself on Facebook? I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And I think another important facet of this, and John, you and I have talked a little bit about this. I'd like to get Blaine's view on this. One of my core thesis is, and this always only been reaffirmed by Elon's purchase of Twitter, the separation of social media and finance is going to be eliminated. They are all going to be one. And of course, with blockchain, I mean, we're dealing with cryptocurrency. We already have the financial part. I think going forward, that's just going to be more and more integrated, where all of your social media activities will have some financial component to them. Obviously, Twitter requires some type of external money, whether it's USD payment system, whether it's Dogecoin, whatever, BTC, whatever they figure out. We have the opportunity where we can create our own tokens. We can use HBD. We can do all that stuff. So I think actually the more we get excited about these social media apps, the more we're laying the foundation for an incredible financial system that I think we can build on top of all this stuff.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't know what to add to that. My favorite part is not that it's not a financial system, is you can spend $8 and crash a stock. It's the best part of it all, right? If it's not tied to financial systems, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, we know propaganda both can pump and dump, and we've seen a lot of crypto that goes to the moon because the right person retweeted it on Twitter, and all of a sudden everybody and their brother bought, whatever coin, whoever, John McAfee or whatever, was pumping out there on Twitter. So, I just think the integration of finance into all of this, and that's really when I look at the people who are, even if you're not getting heavily rewarded now, they're building and they're creating a brand, they're creating an identity, and they are getting rewarded with the Hive engine tokens, with some Hive, with some HBD, whatever they have. And I think the more of this stuff, like we're talking about with this application rolling out, the more that's just going to enrich these people, because at some point somebody's going to sit there, and maybe you guys decide and say, hey, we got like listeners, we got CTP, we got this, we got that, we got all this stuff. Why don't we just build a lending platform and use this stuff to collateralize? And it's like, okay, well, we can do that. That's a pretty easy front end. A lot of open source, I can build that. And now all of a sudden you take your CTP and say, John, going back to use case, well, what do? Do you stake it? Yeah, that's one option. Or you can collateralize it for a loan and go invest in other stuff if you want. And it's like, oh, I can do that with my CTP? Yeah, right here. Built right into our front end. Mm-hmm. Where else can you do that? Is that going to happen on Bitcoin? I don't think so.
Well, if it's going to be on Bitcoin, it's going to be on Lightning.
You can't build these apps on Lightning either.
I'm just, what I'm saying is, because Bitcoin is the solution to everything. It's just that you need Lightning to do it, which isn't even Bitcoin, which is funny to me.
Yeah, it's a payment. Bitcoin's a payment ledger where they're pushing their payments to the second layer. They don't want the payments on the first layer. So what's the point of the damn ledger?
Exactly. Anyways, I won't get into my Bitcoin maxi talk. We haven't talked about.
John, is this the point in the show where we talk about MetaMask?
I was about to say, well, that was funny. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, Hive Keychain tweeted out last night. They're like, what is Hive Keychain? Wrong answers only. And then I put MetaMask, and they were just rolling on the ground. Like, that was kind of my dig, because I love MetaMask. It's just so user friendly. Anyways, this app that we're doing here, to me, it's about actually people using this stuff, and that's something that we believe in. We believe in the actual use case for it. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not green candles, or it doesn't automatically translate into green candles, but it's actual people using it, because we've said, and this is what you've said for years, you want to get better results on Hive, go make 500 comments. Well, this is a tool that will allow you to basically find 500 comments. You'll be able to create 500 comments on content you actually want to and engage with. And that's the goal, is to get more people using it where the comments happen. And then all of a sudden you go from 30,000 active accounts to 60,000 active accounts. What happens then? Right? I mean, how do we do that? How do we get more and more of this stuff on here? Yeah. That's
well, I think also with regards to this app, what's very important is, okay, having 10 people using the app can have impact, but you're better off with 100 people, because then the feedback that the learning engine is getting is much greater. And instead of 100 people, we need 1,000. Instead of 1,000, 10,000. And each time you move up by that same magnitude of, let's say in this instance, a 10x, I imagine the machine learning impact is much, much greater than the 10x because you just have so much more data being pushed back into the learning engine.
Blaine's video froze, but that doesn't mean he's not here. Blaine, are you here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah. I just turned it out. I didn't realize that it froze.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, every 10x, like 10x is the power and the capability of the learning engine itself. It makes it so much better. Bye, everybody. No.
Task took off. He's still here, but his video's off. Okay.
No. Okay, what I just did, sorry to interrupt you, Blaine, but what I just did is I do have to admit I pulled to Justin's son and I showed up for a video conference without my power cord. So I was running on battery. And so I took that opportunity since Blaine left that I would leave and go plug my laptop.
Blaine's still here. He's a voice in our heads now.
Yes, but when I hit the button, I didn't know Blaine was here. I thought you were going to like sing or something like that to occupy the time or dance on camera. I'm sorry, Blaine. You can.
No, you're good. Every single additional user that the task app has will increase the learning capability of the engine itself. So whether it be 1x, 10x, 100x, 1000x, the more people that use it and use it consistently, the better it becomes in time. And hopefully we get enough people where we shorten that time down drastically.
Mm-hmm. And what's cool about this too is it's not limited to the War and Peace novels that the quality control brigade wants on Hive. You can put your like to pictures of your cat up if you want, because there's people that like pictures of cats. You can put up your video on 3Speak, and we saw it. Blaine showed it to me last night. 3Speak videos embed perfectly in this. YouTube videos embed perfectly in this. Not sure about the Vim live streams yet, but Blaine's got the code to get this. So it's not going to be limited to War and Peace novels. You can put micro content. You can put your Leo Threads posts up on here. You can do that type of stuff on this application, which I feel, and I'm sure Blaine feels, and I know Task you do. This is what helps adoption. This is what helps actual people come to this blockchain, because not everyone is going to be a Pulitzer Prize winning author. But you know what? Someone might be deadly with their iPhone camera and they can take some amazing pictures.
Yeah. So if I take a picture of a cat, my cat, I don't have a cat, but I take a cat pic and I like it to it out and I use the tag cat.
I will downvote it. Yes.
And it's then in my profile, one of the things that I look for is cat, or, when I see a cat pic, I hit the thumbs up. So that means that it will show me all the cat pics that are on Hive, not all at once, but it will pick up that content just like it does if I put Splinterlands in.
Yeah, without a doubt. The more things that you like, the higher score you get in a certain area, which means the more content is shown to you in that area.
But
it's weird hearing them, John, and not seeing them.
I know it's great.
It's kind of freaky.
I love it. It's like someone talking in your head. It's great. I love it. He's my conscience. He's like, stop being lazy. No, but what's really cool is that, let's say, the way that Blaine has got this, and this was one of the biggest stumbling blocks for Blaine, and when Eliana and I were testing this to get it to feed information into it. So let's say you like cats, but the next picture of a cat is a cat doing a stupid pose, and one of the tags for it is like funny. Maybe you don't like funny cat pics, so it's going to learn that, okay, we don't want to see silly cat pics, maybe we just want to see artistic cat pics, and it'll just get smarter and smarter the more. That's why Blaine said we need thousands of people going to be using this, so it just spits out. You're going to be looking this stuff, and this was the greatest thing about Stumble, was that you couldn't stop using it because every single page got better and better and better and better. I used to sit there probably for 2 to 3 hours a day, and I would run out of printer ink because I was printing the infographics I saw on it. I was printing like the quotes. I was writing down the book recommendations that people would do book reviews on. Like I was obsessed with it. So this is what we want to bring with the Task app, is we want people to really get into like, oh my gosh, this content just keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. Yeah. So buy our stuff. Sorry.
When what's the estimated, and I know, Blaine, this is always a loaded question. When is the estimated release if you had to ballpark it?
So that is a loaded question. So here's the thing. We have 3 huge things being worked on right now that don't include the task app.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make forward progress on those until John and Eliana get me their pieces to the puzzle. While I can't make forward progress on those, I am 100% working on the task app.
So you're saying the release, the pace of the release on the task app is inversely contingent upon John fucking up, or not fucking up, I should say.
Yes.
Maybe
If
I'm
John
doing this.
continues to not provide, it will be released sooner. If
Oh,
John
there you go.
does something, it may be a little bit later.
So
So
don't
you're
do
saying
anything.
this is all on John and Eliana's shoulders and not you.
Fact. I have done my parts. I'm waiting on them.
So let's say let's do this. This will be a fun game. Let's say John doesn't do anything. What would be the task app's estimated time?
I would love to have it done on Monday.
Oh shit, John, you can do nothing between now and Monday, can't you? You've done nothing for the past 6 weeks. So what's another?
Oh, I'm awful.
What's another 5 days, 6 days?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm pretty pumped up for it. I think it's a really cool offering to the community. So I'm pumped. But again, like I said, this is something Blaine and I have been talking about for 5 years. So seeing something so close to being done after 5 years is
Hell,
cool.
I'm excited about it, and you only told me about it 3, maybe 4 months ago, something like that. And I can't imagine waiting 5 years. Of course, I can, because I've been waiting for Project Blank for.
I was about to say you've been waiting for when soon for about 4 or 5 years now, right?
Well, it's not quite that bad. Well, since August of 2020, so that's what 26 months or so. So 27 months. So about half of what you guys went through.
It's good stuff. Good stuff.
So that's good. So in the next few weeks, we can expect it.
Yeah, with any luck, we should be able to get going. I found a piece today that I was missing that fast-tracked everything that I was doing. My plan for the next 2 days was to manually do everything that I found that this one library does. But I just happened to run another Google search and find it. So
what do you still have left to do with it? Because you said the learning engine's done. You got that integrated. You're working on the UI now and how some of the things lay out. You seem to be really making some headway with that. Is there any other what major pieces are left?
So the biggest things right now is the UI, the presentation of the post itself. And we have to understand that Hive Blog, PeakD, Leo Finance, CTP Talk all have different methodologies for presenting information. And what we're trying to do with this app is present information that was written on any of the other front ends. So I have to add in specific things for each location that it may have been written in, and they all have to function together flawlessly. So that's the biggest part. And I found a library today that's helping me with that, but there are still little pieces here and there that need to be updated and tweaked to make sure everything looks really good. So that's the biggest thing right now, is just making it so that the content is presented in the correct manner.
And then I presume, since you haven't named it, adding your thumb up, thumb down, for lack of a better term, adding your voting system to help the feedback to the learning engine.
The voting system's already in place. It's already there to go. The buttons don't work. I turn them off. because right now I just want to be able to see everything and make sure that it all looks correct.
Mm-hmm. So
So
you're dealing with the aesthetics.
yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And once I'm done with that, it's the blockchain integration. So the blockchain thumbs up, thumbs downs, percentages, comments, replies, thumbs up, thumbs downs on those, etc.
Is that difficult, or is that rather simple, straight?
It's not difficult. It's just tedious. It's just
Uh,
time and inducive work. So
Not like you can take a big section of code and just copy and paste and stick it in and say, done.
no, not really. It's just you got to code for each one. Anytime somebody clicks this button, then you have to show the bar to show how much percentage they want to vote, and then they get to vote from there, and then throw it over to keychain, and then let the blockchain do it all. It's just manual coding for all of it. That's all it is. Nothing major.
Well, I didn't realize this was going to be a show on this application. I watched your other show, and I knew you had some exciting announcements for Index, and it was good to see. And this is, in my opinion, equally as exciting, if not more exciting, because I think this does reach across the entire spectrum of Hive.
Yeah. And with Index, we also updated the voting bots. So we should be around the 7-day mark either today or tomorrow. So we should start seeing better rewards from voting from the Index count itself as well. So lots of improvements all over the spectrum of what is CTP.
There you go. I'm a fan of this show. This was great. I loved it. I felt like I was a part of the conversation. I felt like this is something I'm excited about. And
Now,
Blaine,
do you want to follow up on your success of last week with giving Blaine some technical pointers like you did to block trades, just
no.
to keep the roll going and start a new facet of Django? I know
No,
the technical dude.
I don't want him to rage because his patience is wearing thin every single day. So, no, I will not.
Wait.
critique him.
I have, I'm going to play like marriage counselor here, John. You say that stuff, and to me, and maybe he's put on an act, but Blaine seems rather laid back right now. He seems very relaxed. He doesn't seem tense or on edge or angry, like he's going to rage smash keyboards like somebody we know with MetaMask. And all the time you sit here and talk about Blaine and how mean he is. And I mean, I've never talked to him really like on Discord or off camera, but you make him out to be an ogre, and he doesn't come across that way.
He's more of a Shrek. Right? Still an ogre. You can get pissed, but he's lovable.
Here's the thing. We have an agreement. John doesn't tell me how to do my job, and I don't tell him how to do his job. And we do our own things, and we bring them all together and make cool things happen.
He never critiques my dancing on camera, which I'm thankful for. Only my wife does that. Anyways.
Hey, I'm just impressed you haven't done it in a thong yet. So, I mean, it's like you're doing good by me.
Yeah, no Borat visuals. Guys, thank you for listening to the show. And Blaine, thanks for coming in short notice and hanging out and then spilling the beans. So if you did not hear what the app is, just rewind this podcast and you can basically hear it. I think it was midway through. Blaine basically told everybody what it was. Wasn't me.
Well, it's stumble upon. If you want to figure out what that was,
there you go.
Go search it. And
just dropping them. I love it. It's good.
Well, I actually dropped the name of the app.
now I would have to rewind it.
Yeah,
That's okay. I knew what the name of Project Blank was for 2 years, and I forgot it.
Yeah,
So,
perfect.
Don't tell me the name; it won't stick.
Guys, have a great day. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you on the blockchain. Toodles.
Ciao.